Hello and welcome to the RC Industry Podcast, episode 28. For those of you new to the show, this is the podcast where I interview the most influential people from the worlds of stand-up, comedy, radio, TV, and today, listing publications. Ben Williams has been the comedy editor for Time Out for a number of years now, and he knows his stuff about how to get your gig seen and get people down to your gig. Now, although this is from someone at Time Out London, Time Out is obviously all over the UK and all over the world, and there is a lot of transferable information on what makes a good listing and what makes an attractive listing to someone who is just browsing through hundreds and hundreds of potential comedy gigs that they could go and see. It's a really interesting episode. We cover what he thinks of PRs, what he thinks of advertising, how advertising has impacted the magazine as they went free, and how the magazine has still managed to stay afloat and be a profitable entity since going free. As someone who obviously deals in free content, I found this fascinating, and I loved talking to him about the value of advertising for someone who gets enough traffic to make it work. A lot of people don't have that luxury, and so it was really interesting to hear that perspective from someone who works within that industry. It's a really detailed episode. It's a really interesting episode. We talk about his pet peeves. We talk about how to not send in information and when to, and it's just really interesting. I loved it. I think I've said interesting about 20 times now, so I'm going to stop doing that. If you're enjoying this podcast and you would like to donate, you can do so on the website via PayPal. If you would like to donate on a regular basis and become a patron of the podcast, please do. You can do that at Patreon. That's patreon.com/Ask the Industry Podcast. We've just passed our first target, and now we are only $25 off target number 2. So if you would like to support this project and you would like to keep it going, that would really help out. Things that this project are doing above and beyond these pre-recorded pods are live ones. I have 3 live shows that I'm doing on an absolute minimal budget, but that doesn't mean the quality is going to drop, at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. If you are at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and you would like to come down to any of these, please join the Facebook group, which is called RC Industry Podcast, and you can get all the details from them there. We have 2 panels of agents, one on the 25th and one on the 30th, and one for people that can take your show beyond the fringe. So we're talking like touring agents and bookers and PRs who specialise in that. So if you're interested in any of those are free events to come to. I think we'll probably do like a bucket thing at the door so that we can give something to the guests, but ultimately I'm doing a lot of effort for those, and I would love it if at least people turned up. But if you could come down, and if you do enjoy it, you can donate. You can ask the guests anything you want. It's basically the same format as this, except there's a panel of more than one guest from different agencies who can discuss the answer between them. So if you have something interesting to talk about touring or getting an agent or attracting an agent, you can ask some of the biggest comedy agents out there, and they can discuss it between themselves and come to a consensus together. I'm very excited about this. I don't know of any other kind of panel that does that. So please do come. If you are a patron and you can't make it, do email me or contact me somehow through whatever means you want, and I will make sure your questions are asked. As a patron, you get a guaranteed seat at all these events. There'll be like a reserved seat somewhere for you. Just let me know you're coming, and otherwise it's first come, first serve. Each of the rooms are about 40 to 50 seats each, so please get there early. Before I go, if you're at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, my show is on at Just the Tonic Caves, not Cowgate Head. It is at 7:30pm. It is free, and it's good. I think it is. I'm biased, but I think it's good. So if you would like to come down and watch me tell jokes for an hour to support me, that would be great. If you don't want to do that, hope you have a lovely fringe. Without any more delays, this is Ben Williams. No, it's fine. Go on.
I do not enjoy talking about. This is better than talking in front of people.
Right.
I really do not enjoy that.
Okay.
But I do not. Just sort of talking about yourself and what you do. I always feel this way when I interview comedians. I wouldn't be able to do an interview like that because I wouldn't want to just spend 45 minutes talking about myself.
Well, I'm glad I asked you on.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
I have a similar problem. I sort of try and avoid, like some people have asked me to do little interviews here and there, like mainly written ones or like phone ones or whatever. And I don't like it because it makes my ego go a bit mad, and it also makes me feel really uncomfortable in the sense that I don't think I'm that interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Like you just kind of go, Why would anyone want to hear what I think?
Yeah, it sort of highlights to me how dull my existence can be between gigs. You know,
I'm sure that's not true.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that. No, I'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Is the short answer.
Okay, good. Phew.
The thing that it's really done for me, this podcast, is it's got me used to listening to my own voice. Because I record every gig.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you do that?
Yeah, and I listen back to most of them. And I've got, because I like my material more and more, I've got better at listening to it back because I sometimes detach myself from who it is a little bit.
Right.
But now I'm just used to my voice.
But do you... I would struggle with that, like listening back to my own gigs, because what if you have a terrible gig and you've got to listen to it, because surely that's the most useful gig, right? Because you can find out what stuff doesn't work or why something didn't work on that night. But how do you do that?
I prefer those.
Really?
Yeah. As masochistic, is that the right word? It seems. I enjoy listening back to the awkwardness of the bad gigs way better than the ones that go well.
Okay.
Have you ever, when you're walking on the street and you remember something that you did 5 years ago, and you think to yourself, "Oh, I wish I hadn't remembered that, or I could blank it out." But you sort of feel slightly better afterwards because you can shake it off and you know it's done. That's how I feel for like 10, 15, 20 minutes when I'm listening back to a shit gig. So afterwards I'm like, "Oh, okay, it's done."
Yeah, I guess so. I've just... don't know how you comedians do it, you lot.
Not everyone does. So you have no aspirations to do comedy?
Oh God, no, definitely not. I'm perfectly happy judging from the sides. Yeah, I could never do that. I do not enjoy public speaking. I have a lot of respect for people that can do it, and I'm really glad they do because it makes my job real fun. But yeah, I could not do that. That's one of the questions I get asked a lot by people when they find out what I do is, so have you do you do comedy as well? You go, no. Why would that be, automatically connected?
Have you never done it?
Oh no.
Because you used to run a club, or you do run a club.
Yeah, I still run a club. It's not very often, sort of 4 or 5 times a year, really.
Right.
But and I really enjoy doing that. But I would never want to MC that or anything like that. No, I would leave it to the professionals.
Just a booker, basically.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And it's a nice... I run it in Somerset where my parents live, and
Yeah.
I used to live there. And it's a nice excuse to go home for the weekend and see them.
Yeah.
And it's a family thing. Like my mum runs the box office, and
cool.
my dad rips some tickets and things like that, and it's fun to do.
That's nice.
But yeah, it's I would have no desire to be on stage myself.
Okay, and it's because your time out London and it's in Somerset. I suppose there's no conflict of interest in terms of getting coverage or anything like that.
No, not at all. And promoting and booking, I don't do for I'm not making huge amounts of money out of it. It's just for fun, really. I started in comedy by running that club in Somerset. That was the first thing I did. It's been going for 10 years now. We just had the 10th anniversary last weekend.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's just for fun, really. Makes a little bit. Otherwise I wouldn't travel the 3 hours to get there. But it's fun. It's nice to have regular audience that have been coming to almost every gig for 10 years, and know that you're just making their lives that little bit better.
That's what I lie to myself and say.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Well, I tell you, let's start with listings and then promotion, and we'll talk about clubs in a minute.
Sure.
So your main, or your day job essentially, is you are the comedy editor at Time Out.
Yes.
And that involves getting an inordinately large amount of emails from promoters.
Yes.
To get their gig on your listings.
Yes.
Any idea of how many emails a day you're getting?
I guess in a week, I generally do batches of listings, so I normally do it once or twice a week. So I guess in a week, I think I put about 200 or 300 listings in every week into the database, which goes online. So emails wise, I don't know, it's probably slightly less than that, because sometimes you'll get a month's or 2 months worth of listings in one email. But yeah, couple of hundred emails a week, I guess.
And what's the minimum information you require to get something on the website?
We need, so if people send their info to comedy@timeout.com, they'll get an auto reply that lists all the stuff that they need to send, which is dates, times, prices, lineups, the name of the gig, things like nearest tube, if it's not just a lineup show, a brief description of what it is. Is there anything else? Don't think so, really. Can't remember. But there is, yeah, if you email comedy@timeout.com, it'll fire back an email that has all the info we need in there.
And do your audience at the time, as in the people that browse the website, do they want to know the people who are on gigs or just the headliner? Because like, I imagine you get a fair number of open mics emailing.
Mm-hmm.
Does a stream of just open mic comedians who no one recognises actually like help, or is it?
I think it depends who the person is that's looking at the website. Sometimes it does. I certainly put as much info as possible on there, and full lineups is mostly what I would use to decide whether to recommend a show or not. Open mic nights are good to have those big lists of people, purely because people that know that person are going to be searching for them, or going, oh, when's my mate this person doing a gig, and we'll try and look them up. If they're not listed there, it doesn't help. But I think it's good to have full lineups on there, and if they're established acts, then we try and write a bit about who they are, or even if that's a 2-word adjective, still gives an idea of what they do, hopefully.
You never know. Okay, so I was gonna try and rephrase the question because you've sort of answered half of it.
Have I? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Well, it was only going to be around whether SEO is impacted by the number of names and things, or does that not make a difference to you guys?
It does, and we try and write SEO friendly stuff, but ultimately you're writing for the person that's going to find the listing on the website, rather than just trying to, bump something up Google rankings.
Right.
So, I think it's all useful. I still don't know whether I'm quite answering the question.
No, you are, don't worry.
But I think even for open mic nights, it's good to have full lineups on there.
When you say recommend a night, do you mean like make it come up featured, or do you mean like as in to a friend?
It come up featured, so we have various tags we use that flag up whether a show is Critics' Choice or recommended or free or other things. And at the moment, because we have one listing for a club or a night, and then there are individual occurrences attached to that, which will have the individual lineups in, and we can only add that recommended tag to a whole event rather than each date at the moment.
Right.
So I can only recommend 4 weeks worth of lineups at one club, or none of them, rather than the 2 lineups that are the best ones at the moment, but that is going to change at some point. So yeah, but those if a club or a night does have a recommended tag, then it will appear higher in search results. Mostly it will appear on pages that are fed by search results looking for recommended shows and things like that, and it's also easier for other people in the building to find stuff if they're doing roundups of what's on that week and stuff like that. So always, a recommended show will generally get a lot more attention than a non-recommended show.
Okay. And are there any pet peeves or things that people do when they email you that get on your wick, or that you would like to say to a few thousand people, please don't do this anymore?
Oh, that is a good question. There are probably tons. People don't. A lot of people don't realise that they can email a bunch of listings in one email.
Right.
So often I'll get a club who are sending me 8 weeks worth of listings, but they send each one as an individual email, and that's fine, we can still deal with that, but it's much better if it's just all in one thing going, this is what date, the dates, these are the lineups, these are the times, these are the prices. I can just do it all in one batch. The other thing is people that just send a link to something, especially if it's a Facebook event, because websites go down. Facebook, you need a login. I don't really use Facebook very much, and I don't like logging in and seeing all the unread messages I've got on there. Not that I get tons, but yeah, just put it in the body of an email. It's so much easier. There is probably so many more that I can't think of, but if I think of them, I'll come back to them.
Yeah, just stop me and go, oh, also,
yeah,
this bugs me. That's fine. Have you ever banned anyone from being listed?
No, don't think so.
Is there any way of getting banned? Not that I'm trying.
You can try really hard if you want. I don't think so. I mean, because we write all our own listings, we don't just copy and paste information and put it up. Each listing is a tiny little piece of editorial, I guess. You know, if people are putting false claims in there or things that are libelous or something like that, we're gonna rewrite that and take that out or write whatever we want. Also, because I know most of the comics people are talking about in their lineups, I'll know if they're hyping someone up a lot and actually they're not very good. So I don't know how someone would get banned, but yeah, I've never done that.
So if you get an email through from, say, promoter X, right, and they are saying comedian Y is the best comedian that has ever come out of place Z in the country or whatever.
Yeah.
And you know this is a false claim. You know this guy's or this woman is fairly new. They've not been going that long, whatever. Would you just email back and say, we can't print this, it's very libelous or fake, or would you just not put it up, or how does it work?
No, I wouldn't. We would totally rewrite what they send anyway. People can send me so much stuff about. People send biogs of comics and then all that listing is going to get is, hey, this is a fun night in this place with these 4 acts on tonight. It's, you know, we write them all ourselves anyway, so we're not copying stuff and then editing it. We're writing our own little listings about what we think of that night.
So in a way, don't include a bio of the event then, or
you can do, but and a lot of listings places that don't have sort of, I don't want to say specialists, but people that cover a certain area, that's useful for them. But I know most of the people that are playing the circuit, apart from the very bottom. So I know who most of the people are, so I don't really need it. And we're not gonna print a 300-word bio of someone who's on a lineup show.
Between getting an email and getting on the site, you say you do them in batch lots. Is it just sort of like Monday and Thursday? Like how long between sending in an email should maybe a promoter follow up the email if it's not appeared?
That's another peeve.
Okay, go on. It's gonna be fun.
This is going to happen a lot. Is people who email me, and it can be 2 weeks after they've sent an email, but sometimes it's just a couple of days, saying, "Oh, I've sent this email. Is it going online?" And then I search the website and it's online, and I go, "Yeah, here it is," and you go, just before you email me, just go on the website, just search, make sure it's definitely not there, and then follow up. Anyway, back to the question.
That's fair enough.
Timelines. So I tend to do listings on a Monday and a Friday, more or less. Definitely a Monday, often on a Friday as well. And I try and get through a whole week's worth of listings during that week if I can. Sometimes if someone sent me something really, really far in advance, I might push it back a few weeks as I'm dealing with ones that are, coming up sooner. but generally, hopefully about a week at the maximum, but mostly it's a few days.
Is it worth us then putting I say us as in promoters, is it worth us putting the date of the event in the subject line so that you can easily see?
It can be, yeah. They all go into folders and...
Oh, okay.
The ones that are most priority are the ones that are for the next issue.
Okay.
And also get a lot of late listings because the deadline is officially the same for both the print issue and
Right.
online. So those are all down the priority list until I've done all the ones that are on time.
Yeah.
So if I get time, I try and get those up as well, but sometimes don't get around to it.
Yeah. So in terms of the print, obviously the print, there's less space than online.
Yeah, way less space.
Yeah. How do you select?
It's purely the best stuff I think is on that week, and however much space I've got. Sometimes I'll get space for 15 listings, sometimes I get space for 5, sometimes I won't get any space for listings at all. And sometimes there are 300 shows on that week, and sometimes there are only 100. So yeah, it's just at the end of a Monday when I've done all that week's listings, I print them all out and go through them all and pick the ones I want, and then when it gets to signing off my pages and I know how much space I've got, they will get edited down and some get chopped away. But yeah, it's just what I think is the best stuff.
That's really interesting. So the amount of space the comedy section gets in Time Out, the physical paper, fluctuates from week to week?
Oh yeah. Every section does. It all depends on ads, basically. How many ads come in. Sometimes if I have no ads, I might lose a whole page. Sometimes if I have too many ads, I will lose a page as well, because that whole page is being taken up by ads. It all depends. This week I've got 2.5 pages worth of space. Generally I have about 2. Sometimes it goes down to 1, but yeah, it's between that sort of space.
Do you know, because that's interesting to me, because obviously old print media, especially free stuff, is based around advertising.
Yeah.
And it's particularly, it's the same online really, because you need to get a certain amount of traffic to justify the site essentially.
Sure.
But it's interesting to me that if you didn't sell enough ads, you would just drop the page for content in general.
It's not that the page is dropped for content. It's just that if I haven't sold enough ads and another section is overselling ads, then they need that space for an ad in their section. So it's not that there's no content at all. But if we sell more, enough ads, we will go up an issue size. So more pages will be added to the magazine, and then I might get more space again. But it fluctuates a lot week to week, and quite seasonally as well. Depends on the time of year.
So you also sell the adverts for the paper?
Oh no. There's a whole separate team that does that. But yeah, each week I find out how much space I've got, and then that can change at the last minute.
Wow. Okay. And I mean, you're obviously very up with the circuit and what's going on, and comedians are on it. The expansion of the comedy circuit in London in particular has got much bigger in recent years. How is that? I mean, imagine if your space is fluctuating so much, that's going to cause you a headache. Because if you've got so many people listings and sending stuff into you, and you haven't got any space, or you haven't got much space, that's a pain. But also, has it made your job harder because you're getting more people?
Yeah, it's really, especially since we went free, because before we went free, we had a lot of space for listings, and we'd still have to cut, dozens out of the magazine each week, but there was a lot of space for listings. And now we don't have that space, which makes it really difficult to decide what goes in and what doesn't. But it's just kind of got to be done. I have to work with what I've got, and it's a shame sometimes, because sometimes there are really good shows that totally deserve to be in there, but there just isn't room.
Would you ever email a promoter and say, look, we can't put it in because this isn't, we haven't got space, if some people bought the ads?
No, because I don't think I think if you start doing that, then it becomes, it feels like you're basically telling people if they spend money with us, then we will list them, or we will do something, which is then effectively an advertorial piece, which isn't, we do advertorial pieces, but not in that way, and they're clearly advertorial pieces. So no, I wouldn't do that, because it then looks like you're basically paying for a listing, which isn't. Our listings are free, and they're editorial, and we have the freedom to do what we want with them, and that's how we keep that.
So that's kind of linked in a way to you guys writing the description, because you want to remain impartial.
Yeah, we do. We're not. We're an editorial publication, and we're meant to give a critical eye on events that we list or review or whatever. So yeah, as soon as you start saying you're guaranteed a listing if you advertise, then it's a dangerous game.
Yeah, I can see that. How often do you actually get to go and watch comedy for fun?
It really depends on the time of year, a lot, or general life. But I try and see stuff 3 or 4 nights a week. And if I can see 2 different things in one night, that helps a lot. But that is not often possible. But yeah, I try and see stuff 3 or 4 nights a week. And then in Edinburgh, I'll see 100 shows or something.
Is that for time out? You're going to see like 2 shows in a night, or is that for yourself?
For time out, I mean, they don't. I decide what I go see and what I don't, and how much I see and how much I don't see. But it's all for time out. It's not. I don't review those shows. Most of them we don't review much in London, comedy wise. But it's all just to keep up with clubs and acts and who's doing what, basically, and keeping up with the circuit.
I noticed on your website there's not that many reviews, but you do leave space for user reviews.
Yes.
And when you do reviews, you don't really use the star rating system either.
We do use the star rating system for our own reviews.
Okay.
I can't think of a section that doesn't do that.
What do you think of the star rating system?
I think it's got its pluses and its minuses. I mean, ideally, it wouldn't exist.
Right.
I take quite a long time to write a review. I'm not brilliant at writing them quickly, because I know how important they are to people.
Right.
And I know that, especially in Edinburgh, I know that person is almost definitely going to read that review. And especially if it's a bad review, I want to make sure that I'm, saying exactly why I didn't like the show or whatever. So I spend quite a long time trying to make sure that they're good, or at least make sense. And ideally, you want people to read the whole review and, get your whole opinion on a show or whatever. But I can also see why their stars are incredibly useful for people to whack on their poster and get bums on seats, and PRs love them. And if I'm flicking through a magazine or a website with tons of reviews on there, I'm going to read the 1s and the 5s.
All the ones.
Yeah. So I can see why, both arguments. I don't know. I'm quite happy using them at the moment, because that's what we do. But if we got rid of them, I'd be perfectly happy with that as well.
So does it ever annoy you? Because to me, the star ratings is a really cheap shorthand, and it often stops, I would say, probably the majority of people bothering to read the whole review.
Yeah.
They probably just look at it. Does that annoy you then? Because you spend a lot of time writing that. Surely, you want people to enjoy your work.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's there for, man. It's just for people to enjoy. No. I mean, I don't really mind. It's as long as I'm happy with the review, I don't really mind how many people actively read the whole thing. But then again, like, for example, in our music section last week, there was a 5-star review of Florence and the Machine's new album, and I wouldn't have read that review unless but I only read it because it had 5 stars on it. I wouldn't have read just a Florence and the Machine album review, even if it said, in 3 words at the end, it's really good. I probably wouldn't have read that, but because it was 5 stars, I went, I'll read this whole review and see what, why it's so amazing. So sometimes it does make people read the whole thing, but I imagine most of the 3 stars, which are most of the reviews, people don't read those because they see 3 stars and move on.
Because a lot of my friends get 3-star reviews. I've got some of them before, and often we look at that and we go, "Oh, it's average then, isn't it?" But it would seem like, because from other publications I've spoken to, I think it was The List, because I was talking to Mark Fisher about this. He said that you're told you're not supposed to give away too many 5 stars because that's meant to be reserved for something extraordinary. So it would seem like if you eliminated that, because even if they wanted to give you 5 stars, if they've given away enough of them, they can't give you 1, if that makes sense. 3 then becomes actually above average.
I think 3 is a good review anyway. I don't think that is an average review. I think that's actively saying something is all right, it's good. Like, this wasn't a waste of my time.
2 stars, is that a waste of your? That's a waste of.
Well, yeah, I think 2 and below you start to. But I think people often think that a 3-star review is a bad review, and it isn't. It's saying this was all right. But I don't. I've never had any quotas on how many 5 stars to give or how many 1 stars to give or anything like that. I have in my mind what a 5-star show is, or well, not necessarily what a 5-star show is, but when I see something that's a 5-star show, I know I've seen a 5-star show. Yeah. And I don't know. I guess I don't give them out loads, but then I don't review huge amounts. Only in Edinburgh do I review quite a bit, and even then I don't review everything I see.
When you review a show, do you write it for the comedian or for the potential audience that would go and see that comedian?
Oh, always the audience, always the reader. I'm never writing for the act. I know the act's going to read it, but it's always for the reader, which has caused some, Then sometimes a comic will email me because I've given them a 4-star review and say, there isn't really a quote in here that there isn't a great quote that I can just pull out. And you go, I hadn't even thought of that. Like, I just wrote a review hoping a reader would read it all and get an idea of what the show was. I hadn't gone, I must give this comic a really good quote.
Yeah.
I don't think about that. Or just thinking about who's going to, the reader.
Is that another pet peeve? Getting a frustrated email?
No, it doesn't happen often. I find it quite funny. But, it does happen occasionally.
That's interesting. Yeah, because often I feel comedians, and I've been guilty of this a little bit, I get frustrated because I got reviewed in Chortle a while ago, and I remember reading it going, oh, this is all right, until I realised I have no quote here unless I take 2 words, like, amazing this or whatever. And you're like, and I believe any quote less than 3 words is always either out of context or not good enough that you should necessarily use.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean.
Do you know what I mean? And I've got one on my post this year. Don't you? I'm not above it, but I still, I'm a hypocrite essentially. But I do think, you should have like a proper sentence that sums you up rather than, just sort of amazing, because it could be anything.
Sure.
Yeah. Have you ever been misquoted?
Yes. And I have pulled them up on it.
Really?
Yeah. If I've discovered it, I have sent a polite email saying, or not. Normally I won't do that. I will ask them where they got the quote from. If it turns out that they have misquoted me or used something they shouldn't, I will tell them they shouldn't have done that. I don't think that's very fair, because all you're doing is then misleading, someone who sees that quote, who's a potential audience member, which isn't a great way to start getting people into your show, I don't think.
It also could damage your reputation.
Yeah, exactly. There are, if I've given someone a 2-star review and they're using a quote from it on their poster, then I go, what? And also it's confusing for people that have read that review. Not that there'll be huge amounts of them, but people go, oh, I thought they didn't like that person, but apparently they do. No, we don't like that person.
Okay, and you. Would you ever? So you'd go well, I suppose you don't go actively looking for that. Is it
No.
If someone.
It's only if I stumble across it.
Okay.
But it does happen.
People don't highlight them to you and go, oh, by the way, have you seen comedian Y has misquoted you? I read your review, it was great, and this guy's.
I don't think that's happened. Or maybe once someone emailed me and went, I read your review of this and it wasn't a good one. Are you sure this is right? Maybe once, but yeah, it's generally because I get sent all the press releases, all the things. People don't take that quote off when they send it to me. They don't think about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's normally I'll find it, but I'm sure it's happened before that I've not noticed.
No, it's just interesting how the industry or how reviewers and industry behind the scenes talk. Necessarily.
Oh yeah, everyone talks.
So if you misquote, everyone talks. Potentially.
Yes, it's such a small industry, and especially journalists and critics. There aren't that many of them. And we do talk, and we do see each other at a lot of shows. We're often at the same shows, and we'll talk about what shows we've seen and what other things people have reviewed and stuff. But so yeah, it's a really small industry.
Yeah. This is kind of crossing over an email that we've been talking about anyway, because I was going to ask you what makes a good press release to you.
Oh yeah.
And I've sort of.
Oh yeah, sorry about that.
No, that's. Don't apologise. It's fine. Yeah, because I've emailed you about that just because I was working on I do indie guides basically, and I was trying to write one for press release, and I've got a ton of stuff on there now. Mm-hmm. But I would love to get Time Out's take on it. So, what would you say makes a good press release?
Definitely not more than a page long.
Okay.
Be quite a few hundred words, really, I think. I mean, if we review something in the magazine, it's generally not more than 300 words long. And so if a review's that long, I don't think a press release should be longer than that, really. Make it sum up the show in the first 50 words, make it really clear what it is and why it's brilliant. And other than that, make sure it's got all the right details on it. You'll be surprised at how many times a press release comes through and it doesn't say where it's on, or doesn't have the time, or something like that on, or doesn't have a box office number or something like that. It happens a lot. Just make sure that's all on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, mainly don't keep things quite do keep things quite short.
Right.
Because I remember at the end of last year's Edinburgh, my Edinburgh 2014 folder had, I can't remember, nearly 1,000 emails in it, I think, of press releases, and I definitely didn't read all of those. So yeah, keep it concise.
Keep it light. When I was chatting to Mel Brown, she runs Impressive PR,
Mm-hmm.
she was saying that... Beg your pardon?
I know Mel Brown well.
Oh, cool. She was saying that one of the main services you pay for when you get PR is they write your press release, and they have connections with journalists, which means that they'll get your press release read, if not get that person down.
Mm-hmm.
Do you accept press releases from independent comedians who don't have the money to afford a press?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, of course. Anyone can send me a press release. And if I know who that comic is, or I've seen them before, then I'm much more likely to read a press release from them personally, probably, than if it's in a big batch from a PR. So yeah, of course, yeah. Anyone's welcome to send it.
Do you think there are too many middlemen in comedy?
What do you mean by middlemen?
So between essentially there's sort of three parts to it in a way in my head. There would be audience, there would be the performer, and then there would be promotion side.
Mm-hmm.
And between you and me, there could be a PR person, there could be a promoter, there could be a tour manager, there could be any of that kind of stuff. Do you think there are too many people making it, because it's obviously harder and harder these days to make it as a profiting comedian?
Yeah, I don't know if there's too many. There are certainly ones that are brilliant and ones that are terrible, and there are people that are really a pleasure to work with and people who are a nightmare. But I don't know if there's too many. I've never thought of it like that, but I think certainly those people are doing a job, and the act has chosen to let them do that job or pay them to do that job. They're not, being forced to do that most of the time. It's up to them, and they're doing that to take that work off of them, yeah, and allow them to therefore have that time to be creative and write jokes and that sort of thing. So, if it helps a comic in that way, that's really good, I think. I'm sure there are some people that wouldn't have being able to devote as much time to what they do without those people doing those admin roles. Well, not necessarily admin, but those things. And also, they're often a lot better at it than you are personally, because they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know if there's too many of them, but I'm sure it works for some people and not for others.
Who are the ones that you would say are the ones that you love working with that are really useful, and why are they so good?
Who? What do you mean? PRs?
PRs, yeah.
I don't know if I want to say.
Okay.
Only because there'll be ones I don't mention who will then be like, am I one of the terrible ones? I don't know, but there are certainly PR-wise, most of them are very, very hard-working. I think people don't really understand how hard PRs work sometimes. I've done PR for comedy.
You did Temporo, didn't you?
Prospero, yeah.
Prospero, sorry, yeah.
Which is run by Madeleine Bennett, and I worked there for 2.5 years, I think. Maybe 3 years, I can't remember. And especially Edinburgh, it was really, really hard work, and PR's a weird thing where the bigger name comic you're working with, the easier it is and the more you'll be paid. Yet the littler person, you won't be being paid very much, and it's really difficult to get them coverage.
Right.
So it's more work for less money, basically. That can change where you're suddenly having to keep an act out of the papers rather than trying to get them covered. But they work really hard, a lot of them, and I think people don't quite realise that. They think they're just out schmoozing journalists and having a fun time with the comedian's money, but they really are trying their best, a lot of them.
No, I'm not trying to imply anything.
No, I didn't. But I know that's what a lot of people think.
Yeah, there's a lot of people I've talked to who, say they go up there and, piss away $5,000 on, staying out late and whatever. And I can see why that can be an illusion, if that's because they're doing the networking for you, essentially.
Of course,
or they're doing something along the lines of that. But, it can't... I've done Edinburgh, this will be my third time, and any of the nights I've stayed out past 1, and last year my show was at midday, I struggled, to get up in the morning and stuff.
Of course,
and if they've got 5 different shows to work on in a day, you can imagine their struggle to kind of keep that professionalism up, but also keep people in and then sit with them through it. And
yeah, and they've got a lot of them. Then they'll have teams and they'll have runners to do these kind of things. But someone will have to check the papers every morning. Someone will have to be up at 8 o'clock to go and get all the papers and go through them all and see if any of their clients are mentioned, or so that they can then get scans and clippings of those things to their client by lunchtime or whatever. It's it is, especially in Edinburgh, it is really long hours. So yeah, but then there are terrible ones as well.
Fair enough. Do you think, right, so moving on to the internet and how that's changed what Time Out does, do you think there's a level to which comedians might not need a listing site? Because if they have built enough of their own audience that they can, mail out to or tweet out to or whatever it is, they can sell it off their own name kind of thing?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, Daniel Kitson's a prime example of that. But it's not going to work for everyone. And often it's not just up to the, comic. No, the proportion of people who can sell their own tours and shows compared to people who are playing clubs is quite, small. And the clubs want people to come to the show, no matter who's on. Yeah, people can definitely do that, but I don't think it's going to get to a point where everyone is selling their show from their own mailing list, and a listing site is redundant.
No, there'll always be people at different levels that will want to use listing sites. I just wondered what your opinion on, like, artists being able to create a connection with their fans, meaning that they can go more direct than through a listing site, for example.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing, and especially through social media and Twitter and things, it happens more and more. But I think that's always been the case to some extent. I think even when we only had a magazine, we didn't have a website at all. There were still comics who could have, sold out shows without a listing in Time Out magazine. So I think it's still, it's I don't think it's not being very eloquent here, but yeah, good on them, I'd say.
Fair enough. No, the only reason I was asking is because I had the Londonist on a while ago, if you know them.
Oh, yeah.
And they were talking about how, especially when they were starting to build the site up and they were working it around their day jobs and stuff, they were building connections with their audience and they were chatting back and forth. And I know Time Out do a really good job on their social media and stuff. And I also know you have your own dedicated Time Out London comedy Twitter feed.
Yeah.
And I just wondered, like, how that's working for you. I mean, is that just to redirect people to the site, or are you trying to build connections with audiences to try and, sort of make yourself be the one place they go, or are you trying to attract more clubs? I mean, what's...
It's both to try and connect with our audience and to direct people to the site, I guess. It's just another way of trying to show people what we do, and I really like doing it. And it's also a way of us getting feedback on what we do. I don't, you can write a 1,200 word interview in the magazine, but you probably won't get any emails from people saying whether they enjoyed it or didn't. Whereas on social media, people will. If you tweet a link to something, then they will reply saying, I thought that was a load of horse shit, or I really enjoyed reading that.
Yeah.
Which is nice. It's good to find out what people actually do and don't like. And also with there being so many listings, so many things on our website, there are thousands and thousands of events on there, not just comedy but across the whole thing. It's nice to be able to just pick a few things out each day and go, these are a few things that we recommend today, without them having to do any work whatsoever. Just click on a link. So, yeah, I think I hope it's useful for people.
Is that you then? You do the Twitter?
Yeah, I do all of that.
Okay.
So each morning I'll go through stuff and decide what's going to happen and schedule a few things to go.
How is that selected? Is that, again, just the best stuff? Or do you try and go, well, I've put the best stuff in the magazine, I'll pick the next best stuff to go on the Twitter so there's not crossover? Or
no, it's generally the same-ish stuff that goes in the mag, because if that's the best stuff, then that's the best stuff. But then it's also trying to see if some of those things are now sold out, and, not going to try and tell people to go to a sold-out show often. And, if there have been some late listings that have managed to get up that deserve to be in the magazine but were too late, then I'll try and tweet to those and things like that. yeah, it's just picking the best stuff really, and also trying to direct people to other features and interviews and things.
Cool. And we were talking earlier about the power of advertising and how that drives a lot of, obviously, a free magazine, but also for the website.
Mm-hmm.
Something that always fascinates me, and I feel like a lot of people don't understand fully or don't appreciate fully, is how little advertising actually pays on websites, and why that's the reason why there are so many on certain websites.
Yes.
Are you able to sort of talk about how, maybe not the price of the adverts obviously, but how many hits in a month, for example, your articles need to achieve in order for your job to be, I don't want to say validated, but your
exist? My job exist?
I mean, yeah.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
Okay.
I would direct you to our advertising department. Yeah, I'm not sure what we can. We have stats for the website. I'm not sure what we can and can't say about individual sections and things like that.
Do you know how many hits you need to get in a month?
I know how many hits we get, and I know my target, and I know, yeah, so I do know all of that, and we are just about to get new targets.
Right.
And as far as I'm aware, the comedy section does pretty well for its field. So yeah, I think it does all right.
It's okay, I won't press you on it. I can feel you being a bit like, oh, I don't.
I just don't think I can give. I'm just not sure what I can and can't reveal fine. In that respect.
No, that's fine. I mean, like I said, it's just fascinating because I work in social media marketing and I have friends that work in pay-per-click advertising, and I know that the amount people pay for pay-per-click advertising is so low, and I don't think. Well, first of all, I don't think anyone really likes it. I don't think anyone likes their content being, even you, I imagine your reviews or listings, I'm sure you don't like there being adverts all around them in an ideal world. Or maybe not, okay.
I think it depends what the advert is. I think if it relates to what it is, I think it's nice to have an advert on the page for comedy. For right. Me, it makes me go, thank God we're selling some adverts.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But but you know, I think if the adverts that annoy me when they don't relate at all to what the content is, or if they relate too much in the creepy kind of cookies way.
Yes.
So there's a very fine balance. But you know, if I'm reading a review of something that a comedy show that hammers with Apollo, and there's a advert for Reg D. Hunter's show that hammers with Apollo, I think, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. No, fair. You're lucky you don't use Facebook that much. They use the cookie thing, and it's
yeah, and that's one of the reasons I don't use it very much.
Fair enough. How do you track comedians that you like and clubs you like? Then do you use Twitter, or they just email you enough that you don't really socially look out for them?
All sorts of things. Yeah, Twitter. Them emailing me. I'm on lots of people's mailing lists. Yeah, a lot of I go on venue websites a lot to see what they've added, because often it used to be that, you know, the first person to find out about a show would be journalists, but now with things going on sale so quickly, a show's announced on a Wednesday, goes on sale on the Friday, and you know the pre-sales already happened by the time I get a press release about it, because for a variety of reasons. But so I go and see what's been updated on venue websites a lot to try and find stuff, because I know I won't get sent something for a day or whatever. So yeah, it's just keeping on track.
How far in advance should someone send you a press release then? Because it sounds like the earlier the better.
Earlier the better. Always the earlier the better.
Would you ever accept like a Google Doc if someone like sent you like a shared you a Google Doc instead of a?
I don't know. I don't think anyone's ever done that.
That's what I've been doing. That's why I'm wondering if I've done it wrong.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I don't know, because I think the only thing with those types of things is if you then have to if you have to like log on, or you have to. Often with those things you don't. You can say it so you don't have to.
Yeah.
But people always, you see something on Facebook or Google Doc or something, and you go, oh, have I got to have an account to like see this thing? And then you sort of switch off. So I always prefer a press release in the body of an email, because also if things start having attachments and stuff like that, then they might go to my junk and stuff like that. Or just a PDF attached is easiest, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, I think you might be one of the few who's doing the Google Doc method.
Well, yeah, what I've done, and I haven't sent it in to you yet, partly because the Edinburgh fiasco is happening, and that happens
Of
to
course,
be
are you caught up in that?
So I've stopped sending it, because what's the point?
Yeah,
it's going to
such a shame.
change. But the advantage of the way I've done it is I made a Google Doc, I made it completely public, and it's now linked on my website and everything, so people can go and open it, but I can change it at any time, even from my phone, because it's a Google Doc.
Sure.
So it means that I send you, for example, my Google Doc, and it's got a unique bit.ly as well, so it's not like the stupidly convoluted, URL you get with Google Docs that you'd never remember, bit.ly.com, whatever, right? That's not it, by the way. But yeah, so it means that if you hopefully you'll remember the URL as well, because it's a really memorable URL. But also, it's online. So if you don't have it printed, or you need to find it or whatever, you can go to it and it'll be the most up-to-date thing, because when I find out when my venue's changed, I can just change it on my phone and it's there, rather than you having a PDF.
The only thing I'd say about that is I think you'd be surprised at how many journalists are pretty old school and will get that press release and maybe print it out there and then and put it in a pile for later, and they won't realise that it's changed online. They'll be looking at still an old printed version.
Bruce told me he does that, he prints.
So there's that, and also it doesn't hurt to send someone, if you are in a new venue with a new time and stuff, it doesn't hurt to send that press release again, just going, this is all changed, by the way. Because then at least that person has read an email saying, this has changed, the time and venue has changed, and I'm telling you this now, rather than just relying on you then looking at a Google Doc that may or may not have been updated and they don't know when.
Yeah, no, I would email it again.
Sure.
But the point is, I wouldn't have to make a new document. I would just have to edit it, and then it'd always be available, kind of thing. Okay. And when you go and see something in Edinburgh, do you email ahead of time, or do you just turn up?
What, for a free show, you mean?
Free or paid? I assume it's different for both, but...
Paid, you've always got to email ahead of time, because you've got to sort a ticket.
Right.
So you've got to go through the PR or the press of the venue. Free, depends on the show. If it has got a PR, or if whoever's emailed me about the show has said that, let me know if you're coming and I'll try and reserve you a seat or whatever, I will try and let them know that I'm coming. But sometimes you find yourself, you've got a free hour and you look at what's on and you just turn up, or you go to a show and you were planning to go to another show, but the show before that has overrun, so you can't make the other show, so you decide to go see something else, and so you just turn up. So yes, depends really, but most of the time I'll try and let people know.
Do you prefer to go and see fully finished shows or previews?
Fully finished shows, definitely. Okay. I try to avoid previews in London, because I know that if I then have to go and see it again in Edinburgh for any reason, I've done the Foster's Awards panel a few times, and so I just get given a schedule by them of what to go see. So if I do have to see a show a second time, it's always, I'm not seeing it fresh for the first time, so prefer to see the finished thing.
Makes sense, yeah. And I'm interested, who do you see, or maybe who does time out? These might be different answers, that's why I'm asking them kind of half-assedly between the two. But who does Time Out see as their competitor, and who would you see as Time Out's competitor?
Oh, I don't know. Depends in what sphere, I guess. In print, I guess it's any free magazine or any arts magazine or events magazine, and same online. It's anybody that's doing the same thing. I can't think of like a direct competitor though. There's certainly not one we're all, trying to make close down.
No, but I mean, are there any listing sites or review sites that you go to and read and enjoy? And maybe
Yeah, definitely.
Which ones are your?
I read Chortle a lot. I really like Steve Bennett's reviews. I think he's very fair and he's a good writer. Bruce DeSau's stuff I enjoy reading. And I'll check all the nationals. I wish I could read Alex Hardy's stuff more because I really like her stuff, but that damn paywall. There's Alice Jones from The Independent, and I'll check all the nationals. Check old Fleckers' site, Paul Fleckney, when he's got something up there. Yeah, I enjoy reading it all, but I don't go, damn them. Oh, wish I'd thought of that. Although that does happen sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know why that happens to comedians. That's interesting. So, paywall-wise, are you anti-paywall, or do you just get annoyed because you can't read?
I don't think Time Out has an account, and I'm not going to pay for one personally.
Okay.
I'm not anti it or for it. Just I don't have a login.
No, that's fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I've often thought a paywall where you could just pay for the article. So if you could pay 10p to read that one article, rather than pay £5 for the month or whatever, would be much more efficient.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. Haven't thought about it.
I assume Time Out would never do a paywall then.
I have no idea.
Okay.
I can not speak for the my bosses, but certainly, there's no discussions of that as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
We have really healthy traffic, and that's what drives our site, so I doubt we'd want to lose that.
How much do you cover new comedians versus comedians that you've already covered because you already know or have started working with them, as it were?
Well, there are a lot of different types of features and things that I do, so I definitely wouldn't cover someone again within quite a long period of time.
You mean like an interview or like an article? Or?
Whatever, really. If someone's had a big feature, I'm not going to do another big feature on them for at least a year, if not more than that. Unless it's something really special, where if they're doing, they suddenly become a household name within 3 months, and we feel like it's time to do another piece on them. New acts tend to, so the main features we do tend to be for people who are doing, I don't know why I keep saying we as if I've got a massive team. It's just me. I
do that a lot. With this, I go, we have had people on, and it's like, it's just me.
Yeah. You have to give the illusion. There's a whole team of people behind you.
I wish there was.
I know. I would really like some help. So the main features that I tend to do tend to be for people who are reasonably established, especially since we have gone free, because readership is very broad, and you need people to stop and look at a page and read it. But then I do cover new acts in different ways. I have a separate regular one-to-watch slot that's a new act. It's generally someone who's probably, I guess, not a new open mic act, but maybe has been going for a couple of years, who's doing 10s on the circuit, I guess, sometimes more. And then there are other little features as well. But there's no definitive time scale for when we cover someone again, but I try not to overlap too much, because there's always someone else doing something else somewhere that week. So but there are certainly people we've covered a bunch of times since I've been working here.
Can you apply to be in a feature? Can you say, I'm doing this, would you be interested in covering it, or do you pick them out yourself?
You can certainly email and ask. It's always good to know about stuff. But the best way to be in the running, so to speak, is to just send it listings. If something's listed on the site, then I know that it's happening, and I will see it and stuff like that. But things like the one to watch slot are people I've seen who I've really liked. They're not people emailing me going, "Can I be a one to watch?" They're people I've seen at gigs and enjoyed a lot.
Would you go to open mics? Do you go to clubs? Where are you watching comedy when you go to watch comedy for fun?
All over. I go to open mic gigs. I go to professional clubs. I go to solo shows. I go to arena shows sometimes if I have to.
You got any favourite venues?
I really like Banana Cabaret's room.
Oh yeah.
I haven't been there in a long time, but it's a really nice space. Downstairs at the King's Head is a really good venue. Not the problem, but I don't go to a lot of those weekend clubs a lot, mainly because I've seen most of the acts they're booking a bunch of times, and I try and go to see acts that I've either not seen or have not seen in a long time, or I know are doing something different now, and I want to see them what they're doing now. But then there are nights I really like that are just really fun gigs. Like the Laugh Out London gigs are always really good and in nice venues.
Theme night, something like the Pun Run or something like that?
Yeah, Pun Run's great. What other themed ones? Lolitics is really fun.
Yeah, Chris Coltrane's.
Yeah. I like a themed night. It's always nice to have something different than just a line-up show.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Comedy Store is an amazing venue. It's pretty amazing for stand-up, but I don't go there hugely because I've seen their acts tons of times.
That makes sense. Okay. Once something has been posted on the website, how long does it stay live for?
Stays live until the date of the event, and then it where the URL still exists, it just won't appear in search results on our site. So if people search for it on the website, it won't be there until another date gets added to it. So we normally have one listing for a club or whatever, and that's always the URL for that night or club, and then more that will get updated with future lineups and dates.
So the event listing will always exist after it's been put up?
Yeah, it just won't have any dates attached to it.
Okay.
So there's 4 little tabs on a listing, and one of them is dates and times, and as soon as it's gone past the date of the event, that tab will disappear, and that listing, you won't be able to find that listing through our website, but it will still exist. Because
the thing is, more and more, or an increasingly large number of audience members are sticking with comedians they know, particularly in Edinburgh, so they'll go and see like a household name rather than a new person.
Sure.
How are you finding that's affecting you as a listing site?
I don't know, I'm not sure it's affecting us as a listing site. I can tell you that there are certainly clubs that get a lot of people looking at them, listings-wise. I don't know how that's affecting us. We certainly don't. I list everything I'm sent as long as it's got all the right information and it's before the deadline. I list everything, so and that includes big names doing solo tours or little clubs. So yeah, I don't know how I'm not sure it's affecting us in a certain way. Or do you have something in mind?
Well, no, I'm just wondering. Well, my follow-up question to that was going to be: do you know how much of your traffic is local or people coming into London to look around?
I don't. I'm sure I could look it up.
I just thought that'd be interesting, just to know, like, because Time Out's such a global thing, rather than.
Yeah.
So I can imagine people looking it up who are coming here from abroad, and so I was wondering how many people would be planning stuff using your site, and how many people would just be, well, we're out, let's see what's going on.
It's certainly mostly Londoners, but there's a lot of tourist traffic that comes in, and that when we were a paid for magazine, that used to be quite a lot of the magazine sales as well would be tourists, because they'd come to the city, find a newsstand and buy the Time Out. But I don't know the exact figures on that.
That's cool. And do you track your so it's not going to be do you track your social media like click-throughs, but do you track how many people have gone to an event from your website?
No, I'm not sure how we would do that.
Or you could do like click. So if there's ticket sales, for example, you'd know.
Yeah, we know if people are buying tickets for things that we have buy ticket buttons on, but we only have buy ticket buttons on events where they're selling tickets through affiliate partners of ours. So I don't know it for everything, and I don't know it exactly for those anyway, because there's a whole separate team that deals with ticketing and revenue through that. So I don't know. The only time I know what effect we've had on a night is when a promoter emails me and says, "Oh, thanks for the listing." We had a bunch of people who said they came because they saw it in Time Out or saw it on the website, which does happen. Not often, because they don't. Even if they do, which I'm sure we have a huge amount of effect. But they aren't emailing me every day. But some promoters do, and it's nice to hear that.
Probably annoy you if all of them did it though, to be fair.
Oh yeah.
You should have a dedicated email just for nice comments.
thanks@timeout.com.
That's not real, by the way.
Yeah, don't email that. But it's nice when you do hear that, because it's nice to know that, people are reading it and are going to stuff off the back of what we've recommended.
And you also do Time Out deals?
Yes.
Because there's a lot of talk on whether Groupons and, like bulk purchasing for comedy or big reduction comedy has a negative impact on the value of comedy, but also the people who are going to it. So there was a lot of talk about jonglers trying to bulk sell stag and hen parties.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on things like that?
I don't really know. We have a Time Out offers department, and again that's a whole separate team to what I do, and I don't know how they choose stuff or how they get those deals, but I know they're quite selective, and they try to be on brand as much as possible. So I don't know. I can't say either way on that, I'm afraid.
That's all right. I will eliminate all my other deal questions because I feel like I'm talking to the wrong department. Well, it's just interesting because I do a lot of free shows. I like doing free donation shows. I think free content is better for a number of reasons, which I won't get into right now. But as a result, I take that ethos to the live as well, because I think it's better and there's a lower stake to entry for people to come in if they want to try me out, as it were. But also,
sure,
if they can't afford to see me, I still like to perform, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I would rather do a show to 40 people who can't afford to pay me and enjoy my evening, especially while I'm at the stage where I have a job, than do a show to 5 people who could afford £5, because some of them would pay if they had the money, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and there's also that kind of building an audience through that, isn't there? People will come and see you for free, but maybe next time when you're doing a paid show, they might go, "Oh, I really enjoyed that last time. I will pay £5 this time." So it's a good way of building an audience.
Well, yeah, when I did the Brighton Fringe, I basically said to them, if you can't afford it, it's on me. Like, it's not a problem. Just maybe sign up to my mailing list, and that really helped because then that took the pressure off people.
Yeah.
And a lot of I got about 200 names on my mailing list over 9 gigs, which is really good, I think.
Yeah.
So it's sort of the ultimate form of. I mean, do you have a mailing list? I don't actually know.
For Time Out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have lots of different ones. For different bits. Yeah.
Do you know which form of social media for you is the most effective in terms of no
I don't know. I have that Time Out Comedy Twitter, and that's all I have personally for comedy,
right?
So I don't know about the rest of the site and social media, I'm afraid.
Okay,
I refer you to a different department again.
It's all right. I'll come back in and just interview round every department.
If you don't mind.
That'll probably work. What kind of comedy do you actually enjoy?
Oh, I enjoy comedy. Loads of different stuff. I don't know. I love comedy in general.
Do you have any favourite comedians?
Yeah, of course. People like Stuart Lee, naturally, and Tim Key, and Bo Burnham, and Sarah Pascoe, Bridget Christie. Loads of people. I have lots of favourites, but I don't think there's, a particular genre I love more than anything else or hate more than anything else. I think with straight stand-up or just observational stuff, it's quite difficult to stand out. But because there's so much of it. But when someone does do it really, really well, they do stand out, and shows how brilliant it can be. But yeah, I love all things. I think there are lots of people who don't like sketch comedy or don't like improv or whatever. But no, as long as it's done well, I just like something different more than anything else. Something that I haven't quite seen before. That always helps.
Cool. And do you have like a show that, say you were going to recommend one show, it can be a DVD or it can be a show that doesn't exist anymore, but if you were recommending maybe one show or a DVD or a book or something from a comedian that you think comedians should definitely look up, what would that be?
I think certainly Bo Burnham's Watch show from a couple of years ago was easily the best show I saw that year, and I saw it quite a few times, which showed how much I enjoyed it. And again, that's because it was different. He was doing something different and exploring what could be done as comedy, which that isn't a great sentence at all, but I'll stick with it. Stuart Lee's 90s comedian show was, I think I went to see that. I must have been 19 or 20 or something, and thinking it was the best piece of stand-up I'd ever seen at that point. And it still is one of the best pieces of stand-up I've ever seen, I think. But that was just, pretty amazing. And is there anything else? Sure, there must be. Tim Key's Master Slut, I think.
Oh, okay.
The one with the bath.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one still.
Really, really good. And again, something where he had an idea that hadn't been done in comedy before, really, and did it really, really well. But you cannot see that show now, I don't think.
Has he stopped doing it?
No, he doesn't do it anymore. And I don't think it was ever recorded or anything. Of course, that would not give you the same experience.
No, but it would give you some way.
Exactly.
What would you say are the most underused features on the Time Out website that comedy fanatics could use to find gigs easier and promoters could try and use to get their gig more coverage? That's two separate questions, by the way. Yeah.
Features, what do you mean?
Tools, features, stuff that you have on the website that maybe you think, I wonder why that doesn't get used enough, or...
I don't know, I'm not sure. In terms of the way you can access the website and the way you can navigate it, I'm not sure what... I couldn't tell you what gets used a lot and what doesn't. So I'm not sure what's underused. I think certainly our search function could be better, and it is getting better. There is a lot of work going into it. Where we went onto a new platform a few months ago. I don't know, quite a little while ago now. And that every time we've done that, there's been a lot of teething problems, and that's happened again. But it's being worked on. And but I don't know what people are not using, and how could people flag up their stuff more? Pictures, definitely. Having having photos on listings always helps. But because it's a listing for a club rather than a specific night at a club, we can't use pictures of a comic who's on that bill. We have to use a picture of the club. So if you've got a night or you've got a club, get some good pictures taken of the club itself, of the venue, of someone on stage there or whatever, and send them that we can then use for any night you ever have there. And that always helps. But because of silly iPads and retina displays and things like that, we still have to have high-res, good quality images for the website as well, which people often don't realise. They think, oh, it's just for web, I'll just give you something low-res, but we still need, I believe it is 2048 by 1536 pixels and at least 300 dpi. There you go, that's just something I've emailed to a lot of people. But yeah, that always helps, having pictures attached.
I will add that to my indie guide. I think that's a very good tip. Like, because the Londonist, I think, had a similar thing to say, and so did I. Spoke to someone from 3 weeks, and they said, yeah, just send a good, even on your phone, you could have like a 7, 8, 9 megapixel camera.
Definitely, yeah.
Take it and just email. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to hire a camera or anything. But
no, you can take them on your phone. It's fine as long as it's a good picture and sums up what the club is in a way, or gives a sense of the atmosphere. Then it's good, and people are always more likely to click on and read a listing for a club that's got a picture there than if it's just blank.
And I'll end on this one then. What is your biggest pet peeve about comedy nights you go to?
I don't know, because the peeves I have are definitely not the ones that the audience has, and so I always feel a bit bad, because I really don't like it when a night has more than one interval. But that's purely because I'm not there for 4 beers. I'm there to see the comedy and then go home. So it's not a night out for me. It can be fun, and it often is fun, but it's still work. So there's that. But I'm not going to tell people not to do that, because people are there for a fun time. Start on time if you can.
All right, well, thank you very much for coming.
Thanks for having me. Sorry my voice has been screwed, but
no, it's
fine. Hopefully I just sound really kind of sort of like I'm a blues singer or something.
I think what you've done is, if anyone bumps into you now and they recognise you but they hear a different voice, they'll go, that must be Ben's doppelganger. We don't have to disturb him or try and get him into our show.
Hopefully, yeah, that would be ideal. And also they won't pick on me at comedy shows. That would be good.
Oh, do you not like being picked on?
I don't enjoy it, but if it's got to be part of the show, it's got to be part of the show. I don't think many people enjoy it that much. Well, no, that's not true. There are plenty of people that love it.
Do you heckle much?
No, never.
Well, then why would you get picked on? Just because you're on the front row?
Yeah, stuff like that. I've been in a million Edinburgh shows, not a million, but
that's impressive.
Lots of Edinburgh shows where there's 6 people in the audience, and if they need someone to volunteer for something, you've got quite a high percentage, chance of that being you.
Also, I imagine you go to those on your own quite a lot. So as a result, you stand out even more, because if there's a group of 4, you don't want to lose the 4. You would rather lose the 1 than the 4.
But yeah, I don't mind too much. It's just you just kind of go, oh, not again.
Yeah. So maybe top tip: leave them alone.
Yeah, just leave me alone, guys.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much.
That was Ben. Ben is really fun to talk to, and he made it very clear that he doesn't like interviews, and I just have to commend him for actually taking part, because I know that if, for example, if I didn't want to do an interview, and part of my reasoning for not doing that is because I want to stay behind the scenes, doing something like this could probably be quite nerve-wracking, and I just have to say thank you. If you're listening, Ben, thank you so much for taking part. It really meant a lot to me, and I'm sure it means a lot to the community. If you would like to email Ben, you can find all of his links and things on the show notes, which are at simoncaine.co.uk/RC Industry Podcast. You can just fire him over an email and say thank you so much for taking part. I'm sure he would love to know that you've listened and that you appreciated what he did for us as a community. It was really cool. I really enjoyed it. And I hope you learnt a lot from it as well. If you could share it with a friend or a promoter or someone who wants to be a promoter. I'm sure they would get loads out of this, and it's just a useful resource, I think. If you enjoyed this one, I have another episode which is similar to this. If you enjoyed this and you would like to hear another interview from another publication, in episode 4, I got on The Londonist, who are a much more London central blog listing site, but don't let that fool you. They have a ridiculously big following. They have a really dedicated hardcore base of fans and readers, and have been around for ages. And if you want to know more about how listing sites work, how the arts industry events work, how just the other end of that email you send when you try and get listed works, they are very worth looking up. So yeah, and I'm also hoping to get some more interviews like this on, because these people are they're the gatekeepers to the larger, wider audience to our events. If you would like to donate, you can do so on the website via PayPal. All you have to do is go to simoncaine.co.uk/Ask the Industry Podcast. If you would like to become a patron, please do. You can do it from $1 an episode, which is like 80p. So it will cost you £2.40 to keep this project going. And all the money goes into creating better and more unique and interesting podcasts. It really helps me have a budget for the show, and obviously you get perks as a patron, like for example, you get a guaranteed seat to all the live recordings, and there are 3 of those happening in Edinburgh. So if you join the Facebook group, you'll have the most up-to-date information on when they're happening and who's appearing on them and all that stuff. So join the Ask the Industry Podcast Facebook group, and you get more information on those, including upcoming guests, and you'll also get to ask them questions. Just join the group, and I'll post whenever I get a new guest, and you can write questions below, and I'll ask them for you. So yeah, if you can't do any of that, or you just don't want to do any of that, if you could leave me an iTunes review, that'd be great. A bunch of you have just given me a load of reviews, which is awesome, and I can't thank you enough. And because it really helps. It just, future guests are reading them, and they're letting me know that they think it's great that we're getting a community built around this, and so they want to come on. So if you really want to help out, but you don't have a budget right now, I totally get it. It's fringe season. We're all strapped for cash, but if you can afford to donate, please do. If you can't, just a review would be great. If you can't do that, just share the pod with someone new, because I'd really like to expand the audience. I bumped into a load of people up here who knew the work of the podcast and of the project. I'd love to meet more of you. So if you would like to come down and see my show, I am at Just the Tonic Caves. I'm on at 7:30 every night, and I am free. So if you can come down, that would be great. If you can't come down, just come find me somewhere during the Fringe and say hi. Be great. So speak to you soon. Thank you for listening. Thanks for sharing. Bye.